Eddie, your relationship with Canelo, obviously he sang your praises up there in the ring tonight. It's getting so close, it's getting to the point that perhaps you're going to promote him from here on out. Is that a possibility?
Yeah.
Have you made that presentation?
I want, I want to be involved in the biggest nights, and the biggest nights in American boxing is with Canelo Alvarez. So the plan for us is to finish his career with Matchroom, and we got a great relationship. I said before, when we sat down with a plan to become undisputed at 168, I knew that the Plant fight was going to be the sticking point for promoting on our show. I just presumed that if we did Callum Smith, Billy Joe Saunders, and we needed one belt, that Plant would take the fight on DAZN. But Heyman made sure he didn't. So Saul had to go to PBC, win the belt, and the thing that he did that was really smart was do the one fight deal, because he was under a lot of pressure to do a multi-fight deal to land that fight. But he was very clever, he got the one fight deal, and then we brought him back. But just because our relationship is so strong, it doesn't always mean that we're going to have the best deals and routes for him, but we have, and combine that with a relationship, I think on a level playing field, he would always rather work with us. And it sounds like, in England they take the mickey out of me for being a Canelo fanboy, but I am, because he's the easiest person I've ever worked with. 2, he's the best fighter I've ever worked with. And 3, he's the biggest draw I've ever worked with. So obviously for us it's massive, but it's enjoyable. And that's the most important thing for me.
Eddie, what about Canelo fight in Azteca Stadium or in Jalisco?
That, for me, look, he wants to fight in the UK and he wants to fight in Mexico. So the December fight that we're talking about at the moment with Eddie Reynoso and Saul is to do that, is to fight in London or to fight in Mexico. Even though I'm British, to do a Canelo fight in Mexico would be one for the resume, one for the ages, where we could we could look back on that for years to come and say this was just incredible. So
maybe an example like Chavez Greg Hogan in Azteca Stadium?
Yeah, that was obviously a huge fight at the time. Whether it's Makabu for the Cruiserweight Championship, if it's London it could be John Ryder, but I think that Saul should fight internationally. He's a global star now, and I think he'd really enjoy it.
Eddie, what inspired you to get in the ring and spar? Was that the Canelo feint the day before?
It was Frank Smith said to me, let's go and do a spar, and I went in the ring, because we always have a ring set up in the hotel, and I went in there and there was cameras and people, and I thought, he's smaller than me. My dad phoned me up and said, stop beating up smaller people. But, I thought we were going to take it easy, but he started sinking to me. I broke my finger as well.
Do you want to call out anybody?
Sorry?
Do you want to call anybody out?
No. You've got to pay up, Ellie, to get me knocking people out. If you want me to knock out Len Ellaby and you want me to knock out Jake Paul, you've got to pay me for that shit.
That's coming from Mauricio Lara, Eddie.
Oh, Mauricio Lara. Mauricio Lara is a bad motherfucker. Excuse my language. Look, he's probably a bit unlucky. Obviously, Josh Warrington's got the Kiko Martinez fight, but Josh Warrington sells so many tickets. But that performance tonight from Lara is the kind of performance that's going to turn him into a bigger star. And he is the most dangerous featherweight on the planet, unquestionably. It's a shame that he's friends with Navarrete, because Lara against Navarrete is a great fight.
Eddie, what's your thoughts when you hear Canelo say he's going to make Triple G pay?
I love it. It's great, huh? I'm telling you now, if Canelo beats Bivol and Triple G beats Murata, the build-up to Canelo against Triple G3 is going to be unbelievable, because they can't stand each other. And in the past, they never really wanted to say anything, but now they don't care what they say, right? So you heard what he said. He said, I'm going to make him pay. And Golovkin says he was ripped off in the first 2, whatever. You're going to see. But first things first, May 7th, April 9, 2 great fights. Let's hope they all come through.
Which one are you most nervous about?
Probably Canelo Bivol, to be honest with you, because as good as Canelo is, I think this is a really tough, dangerous fight, because moving up to 175 is a disadvantage, unquestionably. But to do it against a young light heavyweight in his prime, who's, he's undamaged. It's not like it's Kovalev who's lived a bad life and, was getting a bit old. This is a prime light heavyweight. So I worry about the Bivol fight, because I think it's a really tough fight. And Golovkin, as long as Golovkin is the same Golovkin, which I believe he is, I think he'll stop Murata. And I want both guys to look great, because it builds up to the biggest fight in boxing.
Eddie, what do you think Gennady will
it'll be the same with last performances? Maybe just starting to show up?
Well, I don't know. I mean, the Derevyanchenko fight was an incredible fight, but that was, 2 years ago now. The Zeremeta fight was a fight you can't really get too motivated for, stopped him. But the proof will be in the pudding. You know, if he's not the same Gennady Golovkin, he'll get beat in Japan. But I think, you know, I expect him to look very good in that fight. And I think the Canelo fight is a different kind of fight now. Canelo Triple G, because both guys will be going out to stop the other guy. The only thing Canelo wants to do is knock him out. He don't want to go to points. And Gennady will think, I have to stop this guy. And it will just be a complete shootout, that fight. And it'll be over within 9 rounds.
You think it'll be like Pacquiao Marquez would seem like, okay, third time round, Pacquiao.
I think they'll but I think they'll say, we're going to go for it. We're going to just go for it. And I think you'll get a thriller.
What do you think about David Pacheco's brutal knockout?
Yeah, I was screaming at him to put the left hook on the end of the right hand. I'd like to take the credit for that. He said he heard me, but I don't believe it. But what I think Jose Benavidez has brought in a little bit of spite to him. Because Diego is 20 years old, 6'5", 6'4". He has so much potential, but sometimes lacks a bit of spite. And tonight he showed spite, and it was brilliant, great performance.
Speaking about the Benavidez name, there's also a fighter at 168 that showed up here. His name is David Benavidez. What's your thoughts about that?
I think Benavidez is a brilliant fighter, but again, I think they're doing a very bad job of him. Because who is he fighting? Nobody. And you know, like with Canelo, people say, Canelo, he ducked Charlo and he ducked Benavidez. Absolute bullshit. Canelo will not duck anyone. But Canelo wants to at least feel like he's either gaining something from fighting you or winning a belt or something, or you've earned the fight. Do you know what I mean? And he looks at Benavidez and he looks at Charlo, and he won't want to say it publicly because he'll feel like he's making excuses. But he's like, those guys don't fight anybody. Same with Demetrius. It's not their fault. Well, it's probably Charlo's fault, but it's not Benavidez's fault, and it's not Andrade's fault. I believe David Benavidez wants to be in big fights, but they're not delivering them for him. And I know that Demetrius wants to be in big fights. I'm not sure about Charlo, because he's turned down a lot of big fights.
And that a fight you can make?
That's the plan, is to put them together, but you know, I think that Benavidez can be a massive star, and down the road, Canelo against Benavidez is a massive fight. If he can get some decent wins on his resume, it can become a massive fight.